All right, so here we are. We're back with part two on our BJ special. We ran out of time. There's just so many good things to talk about with BJ. So
We were talking about what they're doing to cut their losses.
right. So they actually didn't take losses. The same store sales were down less than 1%. They were down 0.8 year over year. So like we said in the previous segment, 12 out of 14 years as a publicly traded company, BJ's has had increasing same store sales. My guess is, if I had to, and I'm going to right now, is that this year they will return to same store sales increase. You know, we were there just 2 weeks ago. The stores were absolutely packed. And when we first got there, I think like right at noon, I thought, oh well, this will be nice. We'll have the DJs all to ourselves. By the time we left, they were waiting for our table. There was not a place to sit. So I took the opportunity to speak to the management staff there, and one of the things that they're very proud of is their margins. You know, in the investor relations conference that they had, it was a restaurant conference that they were at a couple days ago in New York City. There's a great presentation. We'll actually, in the notes section, when you look at the YouTube video, I think it'll have a description. In the description of the video, we'll go ahead and put a link to that conference, because if you want to get the full breakdown, and I think that any investor who's going to do their homework really needs to know their numbers, we'll go ahead and put a link to that. If for some reason it doesn't work or you just want to find it, you can always go to BJ's Restaurant. We actually started following them on Twitter, so you can actually look through our list of followers, or sorry, people that we follow. You'll see BJ's Restaurant. You can go to their Twitter page, and then all Twitter pages have the actual website for the company on the top right hand corner. So you can click on that. Then you're going to go to Investor Relations. It's the first link, I believe, on the Investor Relations is the link to that conference. Okay, so they pointed out in the conference that their margins are 80% plus are their gross margins on the product. So I took the opportunity to ask. So we ordered the small bites, and I said, "This is fabulous. It's got a great price point. I didn't even hesitate to order it. How much money do you guys make on it?" And he said, "We can put those out from anywhere between 18 to 26 cents for $2.95." So $2.95 doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're only paying 26 cents for it, you can see that they have fabulous margins. So from an investment perspective, you can see that there's a real story as to why you want to own BJ's. Clearly, you can see why you want to eat at a BJ's. Hopefully, we've made that case either with the pizza or the Pizookie, one of the two. But we definitely think that from an investment perspective, we think it's an investable idea because their margins are so strong.
Sure. So that does answer another question I was going to ask about margins. But aside from margins, is there anything else that they're doing to cut their costs?
To cut costs. Well, the technology that BJ's using is probably the number one reason why you want to look at BJ's as an investment idea. So, for instance, most people, when you hear productivity increases, they're just talking about firing people. Well, it's tough to fire servers if you have a busy restaurant, and that just leaves management staff, and that's really not the way you want to grow your company, by having it running on its own. So what they do at BJ's is they actually use technology to allow those people, the store operators, to run them more efficiently. For instance, you can actually see by server and by section in the restaurant real time where the sales are coming from. So if you have a server that's having a bad day, you can probably see it in their numbers, and give them a pep talk them up, switch their section, put them on the bar, or whatever you want to do, right? Have them roll silverware, whatever you do when somebody's having a bad day. But that's a tool that they have to see real time what's going on in their restaurant. The other thing is they track all of their prep needs computer-wise in terms of sales. So, for instance, if on Mondays you find that you see people ordering pepperoni pizza far and above, way beyond any other type of pizza, you can prep for that particular item. If on Wednesdays it's Caesar salad is the big item that gets ordered every Wednesday for lunch. So what that allows the prep cooks to do is to actually prep more efficiently and throw away less food. You throw away less food, it means that that's going to go straight to the bottom line. So they're actually using technology, and as a really neat tool in order to make their restaurants absolutely the most efficient that they could possibly be.
Okay, so are all BJ's restaurants the same?
No. Well, I mean, there's the 8 small stores that they call their legacy stores, and then there's their new larger format, of which I think that the most recent, say, dozen or so are a slightly different format from the ones that they were doing previously. So I think you could probably say there's three store formats, of which the most recent format is the one that they're going to use to roll out. So, for instance, they have 92 stores now, but they are actually looking at 300 plus stores. So that 300 mark, roughly, triple the amount of stores that they have right now. So that's quite a bit of growth. In fact, the management team made the comment at the investor conference that it's really the only pure growth play left in the industry as far as restaurants go. I mean, if you think about all the quick serve restaurants, they're really saturated. If you think about an Applebee's, they're saturated. There's very few restaurants that you can think of that are really chain stores. And they've made a really concerted effort not to feel like a chain store when you go in there. They want you to feel like this is the only BJ's that there is, but it's not. There's 91 others at any given time that are out there, and then, like I said, their goal is to get to 300. But it's really the only growth play left. Initially, I took a look at the balance sheet. I was a little bit concerned about their debt to cash, but being as profitable as the stores are, having the kind of margins they do, I'm less worried about it. And of course, growth companies, they always have a little bit of debt on the balance sheet, or enough to make you concerned. But it's because they're buying the real estate for the restaurants that they own, and they are building those restaurants. When you're buying and building that many new restaurants, 4, 5, 6, 7 restaurants a year, I mean, you're growing your store count by almost 10%. So that you're going to find debt on the balance sheet. But if you look at their PEG ratio, it's 1.48, right? And we know that as long as you're under that 2 times growth, then it's not too expensive. The future growth that you're getting for owning BJ stock is appropriate because the PEG ratio is in line. And just a reminder that PEG is the PE ratio divided by the 5-year growth rate.
Okay, so one last question before we
Sure.
finish. Is there any chance that the BJ's format will become a franchise operation?
I don't think so. They were pretty specific on their website that there are no franchise opportunities for BJ's. Would they rule it out forever? Probably not. I think it would be silly when you're running a company to completely rule out something that might be advantageous. But I think that they have proven that the business model that they currently have is a very successful one, and it's one that they can use to expand on. Some of the other things that really stood out to me is that they have 1,200 guests a day. They are just under what Cheesecake Factory is doing, and Cheesecake Factory probably comes in the $14 to $16 per person ticket price. So they're getting a huge volume of people coming through their restaurants at a really affordable price, and they feel like the beer and pizza theme travels all over the country. I mean, you can go to any town in America, and people are pizza and beer, right? I mean, you say it, and it sounds really boring, but the reality is that it's proven very successful.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Brad, for taking the time to interview with the managers at BJ's. Go ahead and take a look at BJ's, and also, as we mentioned,